The trailer for Wave 6 is out, and we've officially gotten a look at the final set of tracks that are coming to the Booster Course Pass in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You all know by this point that reaction videos really aren't my thing, but I think there's actually quite a bit to talk about this time around. Before we get into that though, let's look at the tracks that we're getting. In the Acorn Cup, our first track is Roam Avanti from Mario Kart Tour. From Double Dash, we got DK Mountain, which features the longest cannon glider in history, but otherwise looks like a pretty straightforward course. After that, it's Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii, and y'all know me, more Daisy is always a good thing. Finishing up the cup, we've got Piranha Plant Cove, which has some absolutely awesome music. For Spiny Cup, we're starting off with Madrid Drive, which is giving me some pretty hardcore Waluigi pinball vibes, and no, that's not a good thing. Following it up, we've got Rosalina's Ice World, which I'm gonna bet right now is gonna be the best course in the wave if it's anything like its 3DS counterpart. Finishing up the Booster Course Pass, we've got SNES Bowser's Castle 3, which has to have the greatest upgraded soundtrack of all time, and then to the surprise of absolutely no one, Wii Rainbow Road. Now the first thing that I want to touch on is the representation of each game in the Booster Course Pass and in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a whole. Prior to the release of the Booster Course Pass, there was a pretty even split of retro courses across the entries in the franchise, with every game having about 3 or 4, aside from SNES, which only had 2. After the Booster Course Pass, there's a pretty obvious winner here, with most games having between 6 and 8 tracks, but Wii having 11. Now look, I'm not a Wii hater on principle, and I get that Nintendo is trying to go for the nostalgia a little bit here, but I kind of feel like maybe we could have gotten rid of Moo Moo Meadow and Wario's Gold Mine and added some of the other fan favorite courses like Airship Fortress or Wario Coliseum just to keep things a little bit more balanced. And yes, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm not really that excited about Wii Rainbow Road. It looks fairly middle of the road to me in terms of quality. I would have much preferred the Double Dash version of Rainbow Road instead of Wii, but we all kind of knew this was coming. No, I'm not going to dwell on that point for too much longer out of concern for my safety. Now, interestingly enough, the Nintendo Japan website lists a couple of extra things that we're getting in addition to the usual courses and characters. The first thing we're getting is a bunch of new Mii suits. I'm not really sure how that's going to work because my understanding is that they were locked behind amiibos before, but it sounds like a bunch of these are going to be free this time around, with the only amiibo locked one being Daisy. Incidentally, if you're wondering how they were going to add 4 more characters into 2 remaining slots, it looks like they rolled up all the villagers and all the Inklings into 1 slot each. The next thing we're getting is a BGM player that's actually going to allow you to go in and play music from Mario Kart 8 without having to actually play a track and then screw around with MKTV. You know, this really would have helped me when I was putting together the basic training videos, but better late than never, I guess. On the thread of things we're definitely getting in Wave 6, I have a couple requests for features that I'd like to see that we haven't quite gotten yet. First of all, please add in the 96 track option for versus races. I'm a speedrunner at heart, and any amount of time spent menuing is time that I'm not spending destroying the courses, so please just minimize that for me, Nintendo. I'm begging you. I'd also like to see an in-game timer, not necessarily in the versus race itself, but maybe at the end of each race or at the end of a whole run as just part of like an extra data point next to your points. As a moderator on the speedrun server, this would be a godsend because I think that people don't really realize that if you have the digital version of the game, you actually save about a minute over the course of a 48 track run in comparison to people who have the physical copy like myself, just because the load times are different between the 2 versions of the game. We have done some load timing stuff in the past, but if Nintendo could just do that for us, it would just make my life so much easier. The last request I have is to please just leave the meta alone at this point. Don't mess with the stats anymore. The meta is perfectly fine the way it is. There's a lot of variety. People are using a ton of different characters now, and I don't think we need to mess with it anymore, and I really don't want to see the entire time trial scene get completely wrecked in shambles again. So those are all my thoughts on Wave 6 and all the information that we've gotten in the trailer so far. What are the courses that you're most looking forward to, and are there any additional features that you would like to see that haven't yet been included in the game? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.